Okay, I think we're doing all right so far. Just trying to make sure the connection is at least, sturdy. That's not ideal, but it's not awful neither, I guess. This would do. Hey guys, welcome to the Thieves Den podcast. So, also happy Halloween. Forgot to mention that. And I don't know, it's weird now because I've been seeing so many people as of late, like, do trick or treating and everything. But they've been doing it very what's the word, like early, like not even like because I get it, some people can't really do it today, and that's fine, it's like, all right, I get it, we all busy. But the problem with that too is just like it just feels off now. It's throwing me for a loop because you'll be having people like because I get it, they're doing it early and early, and that's like right after school now. They'll be like 4 or 5 o'clock, and you see people walking down the street with their kids in the costumes, and it's like, okay, that it's still a nice little thing, but it kind of takes away from the atmosphere. Like, because typically, you think Halloween, you immediately think like, oh well, you know, nighttime ghosts and ghouls and spooky little witches and all that good jazz, right? But I mean, obviously, it's also a safety thing too. It's a lot easier to watch your kids when it's not pitch black at midnight. So it's like fair enough. And the sooner people go trick or treating, you don't accidentally run the risk of going out too late and missing all the candy. And like, I get why they do it. But it just feels like so weird now. And they were doing it like 2 days ago, which I get it. Not everyone's going to be available for a Tuesday night to just take their kids out trick or treating. So, you do it early. Get your trick or treating out of the way. Your kids get to wear the costumes. Everyone else gets to dress up as whatever they want. You got the younger folk. I say younger folks. I'm in my 20s. Jesus. You got like the young folks specifically dressing up as like whatever popular or provocative new thing is trending right now, which, fair enough. Not everyone's just going to be Harley Quinn for the rest of their life. I mean, shit, I think I went as a pirate before. But, I enjoy it though. I had fun. And it gives me an excuse to walk around with the sword. No one knows it's fake. Oh, let me phrase that. No one knew it was real. Get some dollar coins and iPads from CVS, and like a handful of other things. A random vest I just happen to have, which belonged to a suit, and then boom, you're a pirate. Only thing is, I couldn't find a pirate hat, and I was really upset about that. But, that's fine. But I'd say I can't even remember. I think my favorite Halloween was when I went as a zombie because I had the whole makeup set on, everything, the fake blood. My dad lit my shirt on fire while I was in it. Actually, wait, did he do that? Did he actually have me take the shirt off first? And it's funny if I think he lit it on fire while I was on it. But very authentic looking, and it was just like a regular white tee, so I wasn't like super upset about it. I was just kind of like, oh, that just happened. I even have this little spider throw pillow. I don't remember where I got it from. I don't know why it's even in my room, but I have it. It's a spider, so I'm gonna say it's Halloween themed. Ooh, I should have got those pictures of my when I went to that convention because there was so. I mean, I don't really count that as Halloween. It's just like people like dressing up and cosplaying, so more power to you. Oh, if y'all wondering what this is, it's Nightwing and Starfire. I very specifically told them too when they were drawing. I was like, yeah, I want like they're like when you think about it, it's like people think of like the Teen Titans Go or like the one from the 2000s. It's like no, I like the old school classic one where Nightwing looked like a circus performer and Starfire had the unnecessarily large flowy hair, which was super poofy because that was just so cool. Like they made it shorter now, and that bothers me because even the animated movies. I mean, I get it'd be a pain in the ass to animate, so they would typically just make it long and straight, or just give her like regular long hair, and it's like, oh, that's not as fun. But I guess it's the same thing with like Super Saiyan 3. Like you never see them pour that form out anymore because animating it would suck. Which is why stuff like, Super Saiyan God, Ultra Instinct, and all that, it's like, yeah, no, those are just color swaps because we're not giving him some crazy new hairstyle. But I guess it also looks a labor of love or whatnot. Ooh, and my favorite thing to get on Halloween. It was never like the candy apples or anything like that. It would be stuff like what's it called? Drawing a blank now. Not even like the mini Hershey's or the little Halloween Reese's. It was like I they were Warheads. I really enjoyed Warheads. Like yeah, they were super sour, and eating a bunch of them would really fuck up your tongue. Cause you ever see that video? There was a guy specifically that ate like a jar full, he just kept eating them by the fistful. It was like a jar filled with Warheads, and the first thing I thought was that does not look comfy. That thing cut up his tongue and everything, and all that like extra stuff like the salt and everything. That is just like, oof. I do not want to be a part of that. That looked like it hurts. But it's the little things like that where I'm like, okay, okay. I appreciate that level of commitment because Lord knows I'm not doing it. And see, so many things to think about with that because I really, what's my favorite costume that I've seen too? Like, I think I've told the story a few times, but there was a guy who dresses up as Michael Myers, another guy who dresses up as like Jason, and I think a few times it was like Ghostface and Freddy Krueger in the neighborhood, and they would just walk up to each other slowly, middle of the street, wouldn't say nothing, and then break out into a dance battle, just middle of the road, and then people would be watching, recording, and it was always by my grandma's house. We never knew who they were, but they did that every year and it was awesome. Also, I'm gonna have this thing going on random just so it's not just sitting on the screen. It's a really cool picture, but like still. And it was like a consistent thing though, We would always growing up, we always just went to grandma's. It was a lot of it was a bigger neighborhood than the block we had full of old people. And no one wanted to go to the apartment complexes, so it is what it is. But that was our typical thing. We'd loop around for a few hours, and then afterwards, boom, go about our business, which, you know, got the job done. And I always felt weird though when it came to stuff like Halloween and Thanksgiving. It's like Christmas specifically. Everyone, it's like Christmas. There's like several things with it. There's Christmas week, which sometimes will go from the 24th to the 31st, because then you would be jumping into New Year's, right? You have Christmas Eve, which is the day before Christmas, which in our house, not specifically, but like every now and again, they would say like, hey, you can open one gift now or wait till midnight and open one gift, and then in the morning we open the rest of them. Simple, straight to the point. It got the job done. But it came and went. It wasn't always the case. But I always felt bad for like Halloween and stuff because Halloween always felt like you spend all this time setting up your house, getting like the atmosphere ready for spooks and scary things, and then the second Halloween is over, everyone starts getting ready for Thanksgiving, and then the second Thanksgiving is over, everyone starts getting ready for Christmas. And Lord knows, if y'all know, you know the I was about to say Mary J. Blige. I don't even know her name. Mariah Carey. Y'all know the song. They start putting it out earlier and earlier each year. And when I started hearing that in September, that hurt my soul because I'm just like, we ain't even done with one holiday yet. It hasn't. It barely came in October, and now all of a sudden it's just like boom. And I get Christmas is like the most popular holiday, so everyone's gonna set up for it. Everyone's gonna buy stuff. Everyone wants to go meet Santa. You're gonna get to watch what was it? How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the reboot with Benedict Cumberbatch, I think was him. He played the Grinch in that one. The Jim Carrey one, which is weird considering that, like, the live action one for that one and the Cat in the Hat are my favorite versions of those movies. But again, the classic one is still there. I still like it. And, the little books and the rhymes that come with it. The Grinch was so slick. He thought up a rhyme and he thought one up quick. The whole movie just made it seem like stealing and lying to children was okay as long as you brought the stuff back eventually. But again, like I said, I really enjoyed the live action one though with Jim, because it would just be some stupid stuff, and it would just be like, well, we're talking about Christmas movies now, but like, you get what I'm saying though, like, because like, typically for Halloween, obviously it would be like, oh hey, here's some Hollywood like themed episodes we got. Sometimes they're new, sometimes they're reruns or older ones, but like it typically followed the same premise. Like, here's some like the kid show, Nickelodeon, PBS Kids, Disney, Cartoon Network, and South Park, and all, well, not South Park, Comedy Central. They'd be like, here's our Halloween themed like episodes, and here's some new frights and spooky things, and wahahaha. It was so good back in the day too, because like you had options. It's like, okay, well, what do you want to watch? Do you want to watch Twitches, Halloween Town, the SpongeBob Halloween special, and then like, oh, you can watch Monster House, or you can watch Scary Godmother, because I think I'm not gonna lie, the fact that that one got a sequel, I was not ready for. Where like Jimmy is the like not protagonist, but like the antagonist of this one. I mean, technically he was in the first one too, but to a lesser extent, because the idea was they send the little girl into the haunted house, she gets scared, meets a scary godmother, boom, turns around, scares them, and then so on and so forth. It's like, okay, I can appreciate that. But I did think it was kind of funny because just of how it was all going, it was just like you would never really think about it like that typically, but it was so interesting because it would just be like, okay, like this is that, and so on and so forth. And like it just felt kind of routine once you hit that age. It was just like, okay, and then like you just watch it, get ready for Halloween. Boom, once that was done, on to the next holiday, on to the next set of movies. Went from Halloween Town 4, like actually no, there was the first one, there was the second one. I think it was Halloween Town High, which was the third one. I'm pretty sure they had like 3 to 4 movies. I'm drawing a blank now. I might have to look this up later. I know Twitches had like 2 or 3. What was it? That's gonna bother me. Uh, I don't know. Descendants. I don't count. I don't count that as like a Halloween themed one. Ooh, but they had some really good like Halloween specials back in the day. For Disney had some really good ones. Like I remember this. I still remember watching the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody's Halloween special, where they go into the haunted room. It's like haunted room 208. Don't go in there. And it was a woman who hated pizza because her husband was like banging the pizza girl. So she like threw a hairbrush at a glass mirror, and the glass broke, and like one of the pieces went in. And then at the end of the thing, they were like, "Ha, we pranked you, Zach." And they're like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, that's what you get for trying to mess with us all the time." And then they start leaving, and then Cody and them go back, and he's like, "We have to go get Blanky." And then they can't find it for a minute, and then this random woman just walks out of the room, hands it to him, and they're like, "Oh, thank you." She's like, "No problem." And then she immediately walks through the wall, and they both went out screaming, like, ah. And that was okay for a special back in the day. It was simple, it was to the point, and it was fun. And then and that was a good one. I really liked that one. And the funny thing is, they actually reference it later on in the Sweet Life on Deck when they go to a place and they're like, "Yeah, no, this place has ghosts. It's pretty haunted." And then he's like, "There's no such thing." He's like, "What about the woman we saw walk out of the wall that one time?" And he goes like, "We were hormonal kids growing up. We saw women walking out of everything." I was like, "Okay, that's a bit of a lame excuse, but fair enough." And let's see, there was a Drake and Josh one. That's the classified. Like everyone had like a Halloween themed episode, and it was so cool because that means you could see the people in the show getting into the spirit of it. I think was it True Jackson VP had one. I think Ant Farm had one, and then was it China and McClain had the Calling All the Monsters song, which I thought was really good. Ooh, and then like Cartoon Network had some really good ones. Like there was like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which they had that one, which was also when you learn stuff like Mac cannot have sugar because he turns into like a monster. And then there was another one which was like Ed and Eddie, where is like a parody of not Grognak, but I think Conan or something. And they go around and because Ed spent all day binging horror movies before they went trick or treating, like Eddie's following this map, and they keep coming across these monsters, and it's like, oh, how are we gonna deal with this? And Ed sees them, and he has his own way of dealing with them while they're trying to get candy. And then, if I remember correctly, not that one, not Chowder. I'm thinking of Ben 10 had one where he had to deal with, I want to say Ghost Freak. Oh, but he had to deal with Ghost Freak a few times, so I can't specify that one yet. And then it was, what was his name? Oh yeah, the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. That's when you meet was it the Jack o' Lantern guy, and you find out how he became the Jack o' Lantern because he tried to trick Grim, and it becomes that also becomes its own thing, which I was like, oh okay, that's kind of cool. And then, oh, one second, let me pause here, get some water. And I don't know what it is. I think there's something that's really heartwarming about like waking up in the morning in October, turning on the TV, and just being like, and just seeing like your favorite children's show or whatnot. Be like, hey, we're getting into the holiday season. Here's some spooky little things for you. And then even the schools will get involved. They have like decorations and everything. They'll give the kids like fucking Halloween themed pretzel pumpkins or whatnot, or little cookies, and you could bring candy. You can hand them out here and there. You can dress up depending on what school it was. I think high school even had like Halloween themed pep rallies. That was so good. Ooh, what else was there? I can't remember too. People said they were looking for. I forgot what it was the other day. Like Halloween themed. Like specifically, it was like Halloween themed Hello Kitty. I don't know why Hello Kitty is so popular now. Like I thought she was. Well, I'm not gonna say she's obscure, but I always thought she was like kind of fading from relevancy to an extent. But it's like no, people still actively bring her up and talk about her and kind of want to like pick up her like specific theme stuff. Like I thought she just went for a lot of money, but I guess TikTokers or something blew it back up, and now everyone, the mother is looking for him. I do. I actually found actually. I don't know what this thing is specifically, but it's so cool. It's like It's not like a motion sensor. It's like three scores, two on the bottom, one on the top, and it lights up red and it pushes out steam. What I found out that was interesting though is you can like you obviously you put water in the thing to make it push out steam, and every time a loud noise or something happens there, boom, it because again it's like it's supposed to be like a motion sensor. You see trick or treaters come by and right. I figured out a little trick where if you get some aromatherapy oil, but if you drop some in the back with the water, mix it in a little bit, whenever the steam comes out, you can catch the scent of it, and it works pretty darn well. Like I got like a free aromatherapy thing right here, and I enjoy it. Plus, it's a skull thing, so the sag works for my room. And I do like that. Like even like Halloween is such a bright. Well, I say bright, but bright in the sense of like everyone gets into the spirit of things, you know. Like because then I forgot what it was. There was a old. I say old, but it might still be ongoing. There's a TV channel I used to watch called Chiller. If you know, you know. It was like channels. I forgot what cable package it came under, but it was all horror movies all the time. It could be some random sci-fi movie. It could be some obscure horror movie you've never heard of, psychological slasher. Like they didn't tell you what the genre was. They would just have some creepy commercials here playing between. You'd be like, "Welcome back to Chiller." You hear like some lady screaming in the background, like and people going, "No!" And then they'll be like, "This is the movie we're about to play." Boom. They show you a few clips from it, and then movie started. And that was the whole theme of like Chiller. Chiller was specifically we are a horror movie, horror TV show, horror everything, and we do this very like they were real into it. And every year too, I don't know if it was on Chiller or not, but there was like a little documentary where people talked about like it was celebrities obviously, but they talked about like the top 10 or their favorite kinds of horror movies of all time. And then it would be like, yeah, it was this one because of this, that, and the other. There's this one for this one and the other. Then you get actual like people who talk about the movies talk about the themes, like people from the movies and so on and so forth. Like basically, it was like a horror connoisseur of knowledge to learn these things from, and it was so crazy to see all this stuff. Like I didn't realize the people that played Jason, like there was so many different people with it, but there's like one guy specifically that's played him for like what 4 to 6 movies, and it's just like he is now like the de facto Jason. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that before. And what really bothers me, like, is like now all these horror movies are getting remakes, right? You got your Halloween, you got your Child's Play, you got all these other things with like some, and people always say like, well, if the remake is bad, they're like, they don't have any business remaking it. Why even bother? It should like, or this franchise should stay dead, should stay buried in the past. My like, and so on and so forth. It's like I get it, but let's be real. There will always be room for some more slasher movies. Even if it's not Friday the 13th or Scream, like I get it. You can't reinvent the wheel. If you had because if you had a premise and you play it safe, it's like okay. But then you can do stuff like with Texas Chainsaw Massacre there where it's like, yeah, here's Leatherface's cousin and she's like part of the Sawyer house now and stuff. It's like, okay, I guess that was the thing. Jason, same thing. That one was also a bit weird, but I was like, whatever. Now I get the iconic. They're very, very scary. People dead ass have full size replicas of these people in their homes, which always freaks me out when I see it because I'm just like, there is no way in hell you're gonna have that there. Because I guarantee you, if those feet attached to that model are no longer there, you're gonna freak out. But at the same time, it's so interesting to think about because, yeah, not all, because again, people always got the rose tinted glasses on when it comes to nostalgia. It's like, obviously, not every horror movie is going to be like better than the original. Like, what was it? Not the, because especially with how the digital age is going and modern movies and stuff and all new technology, it's like, yeah, okay, it's a bit of a stretch to say that people are just going to go to Camp Crystal Lake for no reason, especially when they have all this, that, and the other now. It's like, yeah, it's a bit weird trying to, I guess, capture the aesthetic of the old school. I mean, you can still make an old school movie looking like that, but, be a bit weird. Like, imagine if it was like, okay, we're going to go to Camp Crystal Lake, and then you got streamers and vloggers, or they try to do like a reality show over there. It can be done. The kills can be gruesome, but at the same time, it's like nowadays people want to just go like, look, if the main characters are so awful to each other or just so annoying that I root for the killer every time, is that a bad thing? It's like no, because sometimes you just want to see the killer get a good body count at the end of the day. It's like, we're not here for the people necessarily. We're here to see the killer do his killing thing. It's like, okay, fair enough. But then sometimes they make compelling enough characters or make a few of them stand out here and there. It was like, you want to see them succeed and survive this night and so on and so forth. But I think one that's always, now, granted, yeah, people can run an idea into the ground, especially if it gets popular. But another thing that like sometimes you don't want to over explain horror movies. Like I don't need to know the entire backstory of somebody to really like their character because I feel like once you over explain it, then it's like okay, that's a bit much. Like even Freddy Krueger is like when you first meet him, it's just kind of like yeah, no, he was uh like he was attacked for doing something, died. Now he haunts people's dreams. Yeah, and then his birth was so weird because I'm not going to say exactly what happens, but over the course of a weekend, a nun gets introduced to all of the most evil and crazy, like psychopathic. I don't even remember. They were like prisoners or like mental asylum inmates or something. And then she gave birth to Freddy. I'm like, he was literally born of evil. And I was like, okay, that's a bit stupid, but all right, whatever. And it's little things like that. It's like you don't need to go that far into them sometimes. It's like it's a simple premise. Just let it run its course. Collect your check at the end of the day. make it fun. That's the big thing. You want to make it fun. Although to be fair, another guilty pleasure of mine is Freddy vs. Jason. Not a great movie. It was one of the first times I saw nudity. But it was also one of those things I'm like, it's stupid, but I enjoy it. Because you know good and goddamn well between the two of them, like, yeah, Freddy has the advantage in the dream world. Jason has the advantage in the like regular world. The problem with that is apparently once Freddy gets strong enough, he can use his powers in the real world, which I don't remember him being able to do that. But maybe I'm only thinking of the first movie because I think the next couple of movies he's able to do stuff like that because once he gets strong enough, he can like manipulate the real world with his powers. Because at first you see them like stand across each other in that room and it's on fire and it's like, oh, it's about to go down. Jason's over there just looking at him, and you just see Freddy running up, throwing elbows, knees. My dad got so mad at that movie too. He's like, Freddy doesn't do this, and then Jason immediately just looks at him and goes like, yeah, that was cute. Throws him through a window, walks him through every window with one arm, just boom, 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 drags him outside, and then chucks him like 30 feet in the air, and he just slams and lands in like a pile of leaves, and it's just kind of like, I mean, I don't know what he expected. Like Jason went from being normal to being resurrected, and then he became like a superhuman zombie, which is funny because he actually cat. If you see it in the movie, when he first becomes like his super strength like demon thing that's like really powerful, he rips a guy's arm off by accident, and he it kind of just he goes like, oh wait, I'm strong now, like I'm really strong, which I find funny because if you play the Mortal Kombat game, it's like Jason moves slowly, but he hits like a truck. And yeah, you can still do juggle combos and stuff, but all of his hits have that weight to them where it's like, oh, and it's so good. Oh, I love it. Although there's one thing I didn't really like about when I played X was because some of the not fatalities, some of the brutalities were so oddly specific. Like there's one with Johnny Cage where he has to have his final hit has to come from a fully charged like spin kick, and his health has to be like in 10%, so it's glowing red. I did that one time because I was specifically on a challenge that let me do it. But then like it would be like, okay, yeah, your final hit must come from this combo, but they have to be blocking the entire time. I was like, how the hell does that work? Like, I mean, I get it's supposed to be chip damage. I was like, that's so oddly specific. And then some of them be like, yeah, you need to land this combo 3 times. Your final hit must come from this thing. They have to at least be able to be debuffed while doing this, that. It's like it's a whole thing. It's like no, no, I'm not doing all that. Jason was still simple though, especially because you can give him armor, you can resurrect them, you can heal them, and I love the resurrection thing. Like I'll be fine my dad or whatever, he'll knock me over and like there you go, and I'm like, uh, no, lightning strikes me. I do the Undertaker sit up. It's like now about that, and again, the more meter you have, the more health you get back in exchange, which I think is a nice touch, and which is cool because like now instead of beating me twice, you have to beat me 4 times. And then they doing was it? They doing the Predator, they doing the Alien, which was fun, and there was an Alien Baraka, which is sick. And even the way you could like take people's like you can put face huggers on people and specific ones would come out depending on who it was attached to. That was such a nice touch. And even the ending showed like an alien queen infecting the world and attacking Kodo Khan's thing and making special hybrids out of them. Like you got like a Goro put like alien, which I thought was awesome. And then they're doing Leatherface, and Leatherface had a crush on Cassie, and that was the thing too. Is like we kept speculating. It's like what other horror movie icon they're gonna put in? Are we gonna get Ghostface, Pinhead? Someone said my dad said we might get Pinhead. I was like, we're not getting Pinhead. Pinhead doesn't fight, as far as I know. I only know about the first movie. I know the demons, but I don't think he fights. Chucky would be weird because you know a height difference and stuff. Like unless it was like Charles Lee Ray and he was using Chucky as like an assist or something, or like a cameo, or like maybe Tiffany. Like it'd just be weird. Like it's not like Soul Calibur with Yoda. It's like like you'd have to really stretch that imagination or account for that. It'd probably be like, and that's what I said. It's like probably gonna be Michael Myers or Ghostface. Ooh, one horror movie thing I thought was interesting. Not, it wasn't Jeepers Creepers. It was not the Leprechaun movie because that one was weird because they remade that one. That one was just yeah. It was a horror movie thing that oh yeah, it was The Grudge versus The Ring, and that was something that I thought was really crazy because I never knew that was a thing. I thought one of my friends was making that up, so I looked into it, and yeah, the whole point of the story, which was kind of stupid, was just like, okay, you're cursed by this person from the girl from the ring. She's gonna come get you. What we're going to do is try to cancel out the curse by having you walk into the house with the girl from the grudge, and they're gonna like you're cursed by both of them, and they're both gonna try to kill you. And because one curse doesn't want the other curse to take their cursed people or whatnot, it's like they're gonna fight over you and hopefully kill each other. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Also, they would technically have to stay in that. Well, they wouldn't have to stay in the house, but it'd be one of those things of like, what's the stop? What's to stop one of them from just? Because again, no, like, what's to stop one of them from getting you at that point? Because if I remember the grudge, she could get you anywhere. Like that was the whole thing. Like once you're in the house, you're cursed, and after that, you can't get away from her. But then vice versa. I'm not too familiar with the girl from the ring. I don't get that either. And basically, they both start like speed blitzing her as she jumps into a well. This girl that they're chasing, and they crash into it, and then they try to seal them with talismans and on this little like how do I say? It looks like a fucking what's the word? Like a dream catcher. They put that over the little well, and then it turns out the curse somehow combines to have the ability, like the movement of the grudge with the face of the girl from the ring, and they become like a super hybrid of curses, and basically everyone is fucked afterwards. And I'm just kind of like, and this is why we don't have them team up because that would be impossible to beat. Like even earlier, if we had Ghostface and Chucky team up, there'd be a lot of dead people. Uh, like I don't think Sydney's winning that one because while she's over here focused on that one, the other one's taking her shins out or something. It's like can't have Jason and Michael Myers do that because again, Michael Myers can take on a crowd. Jason can take on a crowd. You like y'all ain't winning that one. And Jason can teleport, so it's. But that is something to think too because I used to watch what was it, Family Feud, right? And if I remember correctly, there was a question that was like, name like the top like it'll be like top 8 answers on the board. Name a creature who could take Dracula in a fight. And you're gonna like, and when they say Dracula, they don't mean like Castlevania Dracula, because yeah, no, that's not happening. But it'd be stuff like oh, hold on, let me keep this going again. I'm over here getting distracted. Yeah, it'd be like old school, or not even Bram Stoker's Dracula, like the one from like the movie that was in like the 50s, I want to say, when it had color. Hmm. Yeah, and it was just like, okay, creature from the Black Lagoon, the Wolfman, Frankenstein, da da da. I'm like, okay, y'all just naming other horror movie people. I don't know about all that. I think I don't remember. I'm because I think one of them was saying like the Phantom of the Opera. I'm like, that motherfucker is not beating Dracula. Like, I don't care what you say, that's not happening. Like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, like Godzilla. It's like it could be some random thing like that. It's like okay, that makes sense. But then it would just be like, oh yeah, this person who's basically just a normal man. I'm like, no. Although one of my favorite horror movie things about that was this is so stupid. It was called Monster Ball. It's such a bad movie. But it's stupid, but the premise is hilarious because it'll be like there was a witch and she was called Witch Bitch, and for some reason I don't know why they did this for the movie, but it was hilarious. instead of having her use her actual witch magic when she fights people, they just put boxing gloves on the witch, and she just squares up with other people and just starts throwing hands with them. And I'm like, that's the dumbest shit ever. And then one of them was like a soldier who gets infected with the zombie virus, and and he has like his general manager is fucking Kevin Nash, which is hilarious. And then I forgot the other one. I think the other one was like supposed to be like the creature from the Black Lagoon, or and another one was like like a werewolf because a werewolf murdered this guy's the guy was a hunter. The werewolf murdered his wife and child. You know, real tragic backstory and stuff. He finds the werewolf, kills him, but the werewolf wounds him in the process, so that he becomes the wolf man afterwards. And another one was Frankenstein, who's like, big, really strong, like a beast. And over the course of several fights, the zombie actually gets out and bites people, bites Kevin Nash too, and like it turns into like a whole thing. And then even one of the announcers gets bit and has to get put down by the other announcer, who has to like narrate it by himself now because everyone else is dead. And the final fight actually has a promo before the fight of the Wolfman and Frankenstein talking shit. Like he's like, "You won't beat me." He's like, He's like, "I'm a werewolf. Werewolf with my wife and child." Da, da, da. He's just talking, and Frankenstein's just kind of like, "Okay," and they fight, and the Wolfman's a lot faster, but obviously Frankenstein's a lot more durable and also super strong. So they're both fighting, and I think at one point I'm pretty sure the Wolfman picks up a casket, or he picks up like a big like wooden stick, like a thick one, like not a full size log, but like a sizable stick. You know, it was either that or the or an actual like tombstone, and he just like cracks it over his back and just starts beating his ass with it. And at first you think it's like, okay, the Wolfman's putting up a hell of a fight right now, and then Frankenstein just says fuck it, gets up, smacks the Wolfman, and like stuns him, and then grabs his jaw and like physically rips the top part of his jaw, like and his brain and everything just off. And you just go like, okay, Frankenstein wins the monster ball. He's champion, and they give him the belt and everything. They're like, congratulations. Kevin Nash comes out of nowhere and just says like, again, he's a zombie now, but like a super zombie, and he's just like Frankenstein. Goes out there, grabs his belt, throws it on the floor, and that pisses off Frankenstein. And then they get in each other's faces, like they're about to scrap. And then the movie cuts off, and it's like it's over. It's like, well, shit. And the funny thing is, I don't know why I watched that movie, but I still find it really funny because it's so goddamn silly. And again, I actually like B-rated horror movies. They're not the best in terms of writing quality, but there's something just that's charming. Because sometimes they're low grade, low budget, or stupid, but then sometimes it's just kind of like, it's fun. It's a fun little distraction movie. I used to watch them on Netflix all the time. Zombiever was one, and there's always one where it's against zombies. It'll be like the hood, zombies versus the hood, gangsters versus zombies, mafia versus zombies, strippers versus zombies. There's quite a few of those actually, like a disturbing amount of those specific ones. And it would be like, or it'd be like, something versus. And zombies, you can say that they've been done to death already, which fair enough. But at the same time, it's also something that I think is interesting. Where it's like, you know what, you sure right. But you still watch a zombie movie every now and again. Like, because again, the old school zombies, it's like everyone looks at that now and it's like, okay, that's not that scary. You can run around them. So to counteract this, they make all the zombies run now. They make them attacking massive, massive hordes. Which I think The Walking Dead did it best, where it's like, yeah, the zombies are not a threat. We can run circles around them. It's like, okay, the zombie plague is in the air. Everyone that dies is infected and turns into one anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's like, well, you got me on that one, right? And oh, sorry about that. And that's the one thing again, I love zombie movies. They could be tense, they could be scary, they could be stupid, they could be silly. I will always watch a zombie movie if I'm in a good, especially if I'm in a good mood or I just want something to chill, maybe grab a drink, eat some popcorn too. It's like, and some of the zombie movies have just been a really, I've seen a really not great. Like Zombie Beavers, really stupid. You get bit by a zombie beaver, turn into a zombie. It's like, okay, well that became a thing. Zombie strippers. A strip club gets attacked by zombies, and like a lady rides off afterwards after getting like a chunk bitten out of her ass, and she's like, "There goes the neighborhood." And she rides around on a motorcycle with another stripper, and it's just like, well, you know, she's gonna get infected and just eat the other one, but you know, all right, whatever. Actually, no, it wasn't even the black girl; it was the white girl. And she was killing zombies by using her heel as a weapon and just like bashing their heads in with it. She didn't even kick the motherfucker; she dead ass took it off. Like if you ever see like an elderly person or like someone's mom used a shoe to whoop somebody, she did that with her heels and just like kept braining zombies upside the head with it. And there was another version of it where it was like a military team goes to the club to like stop the zombie outbreak there because I guess people got really into one of the zombie strippers and it became like a whole thing. And then one of the other girls gets jealous, so she becomes a zombie. And it's really stupid, but it's so funny. And then, you know, you got the classics like Night of the Living Dead, like Day of the Dead, 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later. But they always say that's more of a rage virus. So I'm like, it's kind of the same thing, or at least very similar. And I've seen the House of the not, I've seen not House of the Dead. Well, I saw the first 5 minutes of House of the Dead, or was it House of the? No, it wasn't House of the Dead. It was like House of the Dead 2. That was the one I'm thinking of. Or like a football player gets eaten by a cheerleader and then they eat the coach afterwards or something. I don't remember. And then the other House of the Dead was just trash. But the movie, not the game. I have to clarify that. But there was also the what was it called? What was it called? I'm drawing a blank now. But the no, it was not Day of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead. That was the one at the mall, which I didn't realize there was a whole thing about the sniper. Like he has his own story from like across the rooftops. That was really sad. And also the movie kind of ends on you just. I'm pretty sure they all just die at the end, anyways. You know the after credit scene where they get on the island. Uh, not Shaun of the Dead either. That one was funny, but there was one called like not no Seed of the Dead is something else entirely. I'm thinking, oh god, what's that? What's the name of it now? Oh, Diary of the Dead. That was one. And then that one was a bit weird for me because it kind of goes like it goes into like a morality thing at the end of the movie where it's like, you know, everyone goes into like this guy's panic room, which and then the house gets overrun with zombies, and then the lady kind of goes like, you know, do we deserve to still live after this? Because we got people going around using zombies as target practice. There's a girl strung up by her hair who was a zombie, and they took turns shooting out with the shotgun. I was like, look, in times of crisis, it can bring out the worst in people and stuff. But at the same time, it's like, why are we waxing Phyllis like Phyllis? Yeah, I can't talk about now. Why are we like waxing philosophical here when it's like there's zombies everywhere? Like, although the farmer with the sickle was a G, like he was taking out zombies left and right, and then when he got infected, turned that bitch around, right through his own mouth, took them both out, and I'm like, that man was a goddamn like, like he was just that dude. Ooh, and I watched it was like House of the Dead 3D or something. That one was weird, and not House. I keep saying House of the Dead. Night of the Living Dead, the 3D one. That one was kind of just like eh. And I think there's two people that stayed at the house. One guy shot his daughter, and then he shot himself, and then the other two go somewhere, get the guy gets bit and gets shot by the girl, and then the like garage and him falling back opens the garage door or something, and then like zombies come out, and then she gets eaten. I guess off screen because she just decided not to run anywhere or move in the slightest way, shape, or form. And then there was another night at the living or what not? It was like there was the other was it? I think it was Dawn of the Dead where they went to the mall, or the original one that was after Night of the Living Dead. I think it was like Night of the Living Dead 2 or something, where they go to the mall. And there was another one after that where like most of the world gets taken over. And that was another thing I kept thinking about because I play a lot of video games that have zombies in them. You know, Call of Duty World at War, Dead Rising. I was gonna say Black Ops, but that also counts as the zombies thing, so I don't really want to count that. Resident Evil is another one. But the way people were describing it, oh, I also played a little bit of Left 4 Dead at one point, and a lot. Oh, and actually no, did I ever play Undead Nightmare? Oh wait, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I'm tripping. Yes, I did because I broke in all the horses. I think I might double check that later. But anyways, what was I talking about? The like those games always make me think. It's like, how the hell did the zombie outbreak overtake us when all of the zombies are this goddamn slow? Because again, it's the same thing with I used to watch it was like my only anime I remember that had zombies in it, and I only looked it up one time because I was on the PlayStation Store, so I just started looking up like anime and zombies, and there was High School of the Dead. And one thing I always saw about those that I thought was weird was like, you mean to tell me humanity lost to these shuffling, scrambling, slow, just overall not really much of a threat. Like again, the zombies in those things, they're always a threat in numbers, but when it's usually just one of them, most people, and they're just like the slow, shambling kind. Like even The Walking Dead doesn't even treat them like a threat after the first couple of episodes. They kind of just look at them and go, "Yeah, no." And again, if they're a large horde, yeah, they'll be a threat. But usually, when it's a couple of them, you can outmaneuver or get a lot of them. Even in High School of the Dead, with the zombies are super slow, it was one of those things of just kind of like, it's really not that big of a deal. Like they like multiple times at one point too. The only reason they got bit, or some of them did, was because they were stupid. You don't get a zombie. Actually, no. I'm gonna be real. You don't get a zombie in a chokehold because that puts you like arm right next to their mouth. But the problem with that was he got him in a chokehold under the chin and everything like solid. Like he wasn't just gonna look down and go because he couldn't. His jaw wasn't there. The zombie turns his head around like a fucking owl. I bullshit you not. I think the guy was it Takashi? No, it was his friend. I think does a complete 180, breaks his own neck, bites the guy. We never see them do that again in the show. And I'm just saying, they're like, how the fuck did that happen? And at one point, she like, um, not Psycho, Reiko, what was it? Ray, sorry, Ray. She was apparently they have. She was like, yeah, I'm head of the Spear Club or whatever. So she starts whooping them with a broomstick that she has a sharp end, and then she stabs him in the heart, which obviously doesn't kill the zombie. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, first of all, why does Japan have a spear club? I didn't know that was a thing, but okay. And then secondly, like, I get it. Like you wouldn't typically stab a dude through the mouth, but if you're gonna stab him in the heart, that means you had intent to kill. You could just aimed upwards at his head just to make sure. But then he starts like pushing against the boom because again he's not dead, he's still a zombie. And at one point, I think Psycho is running around and explaining what they are. She's like, "Look, one of them, two of them, that's not a big deal. You can outmaneuver them any day of the week, but you don't want to get grabbed by them because they have a really, really, really strong grip." And so, and not like strong grip, like they don't got super strength, but it's one of those things of like, if they grab you, it's over, it's done. If they manage to like latch on you, good. But if they get your arm and stuff, like yeah, it's gonna be a pain. He has to like get them off for a second, but it's not like impossible. It's like y'all get what I'm saying. Like not they're not really a threat at a certain point because then literally in the same couple of episodes, then you got the very I'm gonna say it right now, he's a creepy ass teacher. You got him, you got the military doing their own thing. Like and again, even when the zombies are like in swarms, they're still getting handled pretty well for the most part. Even the stupid scenes. God damn it. And also they got shit. The survivors were pretty well off for a while in terms of their weapons too. Like they had a fuck ton of guns. If they actually knew how to shoot, they'd clear them out. Shame it ended on the cliffhanger. Sort of. Oh well. But the show knew what it was. However, there was another thing I was looking at after a while after I watched that one too. Not like Corpse Party and stuff because those are more like ghosts. But then I started looking into some of the other horror anime. There was another one about a girl who had like brain damage to an extent where she doesn't want to remember what happened. So they're all going to school, and because they're going to school, like she thinks they're having normal days at school. Everyone else is like, yeah, no, zombie apocalypse. Which also was kind of stupid because I watched through the whole thing and we got to the end. One of them gets bit, and you think like, oh man, she's infected. We gotta like put her out of misery, but she can't bring herself to kill her, so she's kind of like the oldest lady is like freaking out. Well, I say oldest lady, I think they're still in high school, so, and she's like freaking out still. And then I guess at some point she just kind of wills herself out of being infected. It's like oh no, she's actually not infected anymore. It's like what? Oh, I guess she's just good then. Well, that was stupid because usually, even in the games and stuff, it would, like obviously, if you get bit once, it's not always like a unless you're playing a certain game where they have like permadeath or they have very like harsh rules about getting bit. Usually, getting bit in a game is not the end of the world. It's just you just take damage. But in the movies, TV shows, no, you get bit, you're done. Like that, you don't just like there's no cure. You don't get like you're out. That's it. Nothing else. There's a new one actually that's out right now. It's like Zom 100. I gotta look into that one because I'm curious now. Oh, Zombie. Oh yeah, no, Zombieland is also fun. Goddamn, I've been talking about zombies for like a good minute. I need to chill. But no, I actually like again, zombies are one of my favorite horror movie aesthetics just because it's so much fun. And let's be real, you can do whatever you want to a zombie and people don't care as long as it looks as long as it looks cool. Because again, Dead Rising is so much fun. And sometimes people put their own spin on it, like, oh, these zombies are blind, so they follow like sound and sense and whatnot. So we can do that. But then sometimes they just be like, no, it's gonna have them run and scream at you like rabid dogs. You gotta run away from that. Like Left 4 Dead zombies, I could see that like ending humanity. You got the tanks, you got the chargers, the spitters, the jockeys, the hunters. It's like, yeah, no, we're not combating that. Especially like the average person who doesn't have a gun on them. It's like, no. Although melee weapons in that game are pretty good. Oh yeah, it's also the witch. And there's some, and again, I know I talked about this before, but I love learning about folk tales and ghost stories, urban legends about certain things, because some of them are really interesting, some of them are really stupid, and some of them are just all kinds of like creepy. Like even like Truth or Scare. Besides that, there have been other documentaries I would look into, random stories I'd find on YouTube, occasionally the occasional book here and there that will tell you about it. And it's little things like that where I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of fun. But then every now and again too, there'll be like even like where I live now, there's like random like urban legends about like there's like oh here's a lady who like thought she drowned her kids, so she jumped into the ocean and swam around looking for them until she drowned. I'm like that's kind of silly, but okay. And then it'll be like oh if you pick up this girl on the side of the road and you drive her home, if you get to a certain spot, she'll like where there's a car on the side of the road, she'll be like, "Yeah, this is where I died," and then she'll either let you go or she won't let you go, and it's like, well, that's a thing now too. Shit. But I guess a lot of places have things like that too. Where it's like you don't know if it's real or not, but you don't want to test it either. Like I used to get so mad at my like because not even my family, like my little sisters, they be doing stuff like that. They'll be like, "Yeah, we're gonna go in the bathroom. We're gonna go do that like Bloody Mary thing." Is da da. I'm like, why? Or like the Candyman thing. Like I'll be looking at you. I'm like, why would y'all do that? They're like, well, they say if you do it here, here, and here with this, that, and this, you'll see them. I'm like, okay, what happens? I'm gonna stop you right there. what happens if you see them? It's like, well, they'll get you, or they'll take your eyes, or they'll kill you. Da, da, da. I'm like, so it's a guaranteed 1 in 3 chance you're gonna die. With the other two being you'll either get fried to the point where you're in the hospital, or you're gonna get horribly mutilated to where it's pretty bad. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good there. I'm not doing that. I'm staying away from that part of the house for at least a minute because, as far as I know, the curse might apply to the rest of the house now. Because, again, you brought the evil in. But my family's kind of superstitious at times. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, even little things that I think about from time to time, it's just a matter of superstition. Like, I believe in ghosts. I believe in magic. So, to an extent, I believe in certain things. That being said, people like some people in my family are like, yeah, no, this is a thing. I'm not doing this. This is bad juju. I'm not messing with this. Or like, you don't do this because this, that, and the other. Like it's like I know my uncle is very superstitious. My grandma believes in a little bit of that too. And my thing is just kind of like I don't like pissing off things I can't physically deal with. Like I remember, you ever see that movie? Not Grave Encounters. What's it called? Well, they quarantine when they get stuck inside that one building that's surrounded by zombies, and it's that lady and the reporter, and then they made another version for like the U.S. or whatnot. Yeah, my whole thing when I first looked at that movie, I was like, why would you willingly walk into a spot like that when people were not gonna just let you leave afterwards? Although, to be fair, a lot of those movies that you see for those, where it's like, why would you willingly walk into an abandoned house or a radiation site or so on and so forth? It's like, yeah, those people ain't the smartest, but that's also the thing that you look at where it's like, you get a little rhyme, a little reason, like this is how it's gonna go. But it's also just one of the things that like, no, no, what do you mean? You can't just be doing that. And it's like, well, I'm gonna get the story of my life. We're gonna get famous. We're gonna get this, that, and the other. It's like they say, the risk is worth the reward, or sorry, the reward is worth the risk. And then there'll be some horror movies that'll be like, okay, this is like Anaconda or Jaws, where it's like, it's a horror movie thing based on something that is real, like the fear of sharks and big ass snakes. I was gonna say, there's several ones where it's spiders, and some where it's like, and sometimes it might not be a horror movie. Sometimes it'll be like a thriller or something spooky, like a suspense movie, and it'll be for like there's one with Idris Elba where they took on a lion. The first thing my dad and them said was that lion should have killed Idris Elba immediately. Like there should have been no fist fight afterwards. He should have bled out and died from his wounds, or just had the lion like munch on him. You mean to tell me that lion wouldn't have caught him when he first ran off by himself a second ago? He's like that lion is way faster and way stronger. And also the thing I thought was funny was like the second he ran over to those other lions, I'm like, oh yeah, no, those other two lions are gonna jump on his head because he is right next to their pride and he don't belong there. Which again, I was like, okay, fair enough. Because again, you would think he would be visiting his like wife after that. Like you would think he would have died at the end. But I was like, it's whatever. I didn't like his daughters though, or the older one. The older one was kind of mean for no reason. It's like, look, I get it. His mom, your mother's dead and everything, but like he's trying his best. Why are you giving him shit? Jesus. Which I guess also falls under like how people look at stuff now. Like if you remember, was it Black Christmas? That was a movie from back in the day. Had a compelling cast of characters. Then you see the remake. The remake was very weird. I'm gonna say, and I'm not talking about like the 2020 plus remake. I'm talking about like the one that was remake, the first remake they did, because that one was at least like it was weird, and there was some really fucked up scenes with that one, but it doesn't like have the same je ne sais quoi as the like old school one. Like, cause things just kind of fell into place with that one, which I really enjoyed. It also kind of the original also kind of reminds me of like you ever see those old things where it's like when a stranger calls, like those old like urban legends. Oh yeah, there's also another movie I remember looking up about urban legends. There was like the guy in the back. I actually read those too. There was like a guy in the back seat was one of them, and there was the hook on the hand. Y'all know that one. The scarecrow, the woman who visits whose husband came back from war and then took her to his like um, casket and then buried her alive with him. That one was a bit weird. And then it was what was it? Also, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I know this like whoever made this for me did not spell thief right. Look, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. English was not their first language. I just appreciate that they gave me this big ass silhouette thing in the background that you can't really see. But you know, I can't draw, so who am I to say anything, right? Ooh, see that's the thing too. When I see horror movies with ghosts, that always throws me for a loop because again, I don't like ghosts. I can't fight a ghost. I don't have a proton pack. Okay, I I was watching what was it called? A haunted house, the first one, not the second. And at one point, like he's like, here's how we're gonna trick the ghost. He puts like sugar or salt on like the floor. He's like, when he walks through, we're gonna see his footsteps. It's like his footsteps. Or no, it was flour. It was flour. And she thought it was stupid. And then you see the footsteps and stuff leading to a room. And he's about to go in that room. He immediately gets scared and goes like, hey, this is not what. He's like, this is what white people do, baby. He's like, this ain't what niggas do. He's like, we run, and we live. And she's like, Michael. And he goes, all right, give me my bat. And she's like, yo, a bat? You can use a bat on a ghost. He's like, yes, I left my proton pack in the car. Give me a bat. Which I mean, I'd be the same way as like, yeah, I'd get one of the swords on my wall, like my throwing axe or something. It's like, here's the thing, even if it doesn't do anything, it would make me feel better to at least know I'm armed, okay? Like, imagine you go downstairs. You don't want to go downstairs barehanded. You want to go down there with a goddamn weapon. I mean, shit, even my silver, I say silver, I'm pretty sure my throwing axes are metal, but if I get them in silver, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not a vampire hunter, mind you, but if I had some throwing knives or a throwing hatchet, as it is, and they're made of silver, the first thing I'm doing is dipping them in holy water and having them blessed by a priest. Will this help me ward off actual vampires or zombies or killer werewolf? Probably not, no. But would it make me feel better to know one of these weapons is holy? Yes, very much so. Because again, it's the same thing. Because again, there's a lot of different folk tales for dealing with the supernatural, but typically how it's gonna go for certain things is like, okay, certain there's certain things like silver that affect a universal amount of enemies, but then sometimes they'll just be like, oh yeah, no, you just need a very specific thing around you, like some sort of charm to ward them off. It's like, okay, fair enough. Ghosts are a weird thing though, because you can kind of exercise them, but then sometimes you can't. Sometimes if it's a possession, that's also a thing, and it's just like okay, well, it's also another thing to look at. But movies always gloss around that kind of lot stuff because it's just like sometimes they'll be like, okay, this place is like the curse is tied to this house. We have to destroy the house. It's like fair enough. Like I forgot which movie it was, but it wasn't it wasn't the how do I say this? It wasn't the fucking nah, it wasn't the Grudge. No, it was a different movie about a haunted house a group of friends go into. And it was kind of like a horror comedy because at one point, like they see the woman and she's just in the middle of the living room with some zombie companions of their friends, and there's like three people left, and one guy has a machete, and he's kind of like, what do we do?" And they see the ghost lady, and she's just like eyeing them all up, like, "Hey guys, I'm haunting y'all. How y'all doing today?" Kind of like she's just staring at them, and she's also, butt ass naked. And so the guy's kind of like, this is weird. How are we supposed to do this? And then when the girl goes like, oh, for fuck's sake, give me that thing. Gets the machete from him, runs up to her, immediately sticks it in her, like slashes it into her neck. And typically, I don't know if you've ever seen what a machete does to bare meat. It goes in there pretty good. Not this one. I don't know if she swung it softly or pulled back a bit, but that shit hit her neck kind of like Frieza getting chopped in the neck by a nail, didn't really do nothing. And she just kind of looked at him afterwards. And the girl that swung the machete didn't pull it back, so now they don't have a machete. they're surrounded by zombie people right here, and now it's just a whole thing of like, okay. The funny thing is, right before that, they got attacked in the kitchen by one of their zombie friends, and they had a full-fledged conversation before he even tried to attack them because he's just staring at them for a second. And they're like, "Holy shit, he's a zombie!" They're like, "Wait, what kind of zombie? Like, what? If this is like, look," they're like, "What do you mean?" Well, if this is like John A. Romero's kind of zombie, or sorry, I said John. I'm stupid. Yeah. George A. Romero zombie. It's like Night of the Living Dead. Da, da, da. It's gonna be slow. It's gonna be like lazy. It's gonna be like sluggish. It's not gonna be. We can run circles around that. Like will be good. But if it's like modern zombies, the fucking athletic ones that can chase you down the whole time, they don't ever get tired. He's like, yeah, well, fuck. It's like both of us wouldn't be able to take it. But some old school zombie, yeah, I could like get behind you. And you could push it over. We can bully the shit out of them. And they have a whole. And then the zombie starts attacking them, and they're like, oh shit. And then they go, wait, I think it's the first one. And then they're over here fighting for a man, and one of them just kind of gets a weapon and goes like right through his head, like, Jah! Takes it off. And it's like, all right. And then at the end of it, there's the one of the girls gets eaten, one they're running. So it's just one guy and one girl left. And the girl is talking to the woman who's like the ghost, and she's talking about needing a sacrifice so she can become like whole again and become all powerful. And the whole time they're talking, the girl talking to the ghost is like she has like her own little book that we don't really know what the book is for necessarily. They just need to destroy it. And then the guy is using a dresser to hold back the wall of zombies trying to break in and kill them. And the whole time he's talking, he's like, "Can you hurry it up?" And she's like, "Yeah, Justin, in a moment." Guys, right? It's just like, just saying this to the ghost who's just looking at her, and I'm just like, this is the dumbest shit ever. And then plot twist turns out when she blew up the book and destroyed the house, that was the sacrifice, and then she rips off their boy's head when they both walk out of the house, and you think, oh, okay, happy ending. Nope, rips his head off, throws it to the side. The other zombies come out behind her, and then they like fucking do their like hood gang pose in the background. I'm like, God damn it! Oh god, that's a fun memory. Such fun times. See, I don't really play psychological horror games though. Like I can't do the whole Outlast, Amnesia, all that other stuff, Clock Tower. It's like that's not my stuff. I don't like things that mess with my head and I can't fight. Because at least in the games I was talking about earlier, you can fight back. Dead Rising, everything is a weapon, and you can make combo weapons in the second one. Fuck yeah. Um, Resident Evil, you get guns. It's a limited supply of guns depending on which game you're playing. Same thing with ammo, but you get something to fight back with, even if it's just a knife. And like Call of Duty, like do I even really gotta explain that one? Guns all day, every day. That's the whole point. So even like Saints Row Zombie Uprising video game, guns for days. And again, Halloween just has such a like it's so weird though. Like because when you think of like it's like when you're younger, you think about candy and stuff like that. When you're older, you think about going to like Halloween parties, seeing people dressed in like scantily clad versions of like Halloween themed like costumes, like a sexy pumpkin or something. Which I don't know how that would work, but whatever. And so on and so forth. And I'm like, I can appreciate that, but at the same time, I'm also like, it feels weird. Like even one of my friends for Halloween one time, they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to this like rock concert, maybe like go get some pumpkin shots at the bar and everything." And it was it's pumpkin spice. Just they put it in the thing, they light it on fire for you, blow it out, and you just shoot it back. It's like, okay, that's pretty good. And hell, even people still wear costumes. Like you could also not even like just cosplays, but just like in general. And people always go like, "Why don't you two older go trick or treat?" And it's like you're missing the point. It's not about being old enough to do that. It's being part of the festivities. Yeah, you might just want to sit there and hand out candy now the older you get, but sometimes you want to dress up. You want to be in good spirits. You want to put a nice little costume to get to scare the shit out of people. Like I saw, it was a take one sign one time for trick or treating. Walk up, you take one. I saw someone try to take two in my family. reached out to grab a second one, and then it was like it was a little table with a bowl of candy. And they had like a little clown, like not like a statue, but like a mannequin, I guess, sitting next to it. The mannequin moved, reached out and grabbed their hand, and everyone kind of jumped because we were just like, all right, didn't expect that. Now, typically, you don't want some people you don't want to frighten, not because again, if you scare somebody and they're not used to that fright or they weren't expecting it, and depending on how scared they get, some people have that immediate fight or flight response, right? So if you scare someone and they wholeheartedly clock you in the goddamn face, I know what to tell you. You walked into that one. And that's the thing. I'm somewhat stealthy at times, and I scare people, but I never do it intentionally. Like, I'll walk, like, even at the store while I worked there for customer service, I'd be like, hey, can I help you with that? Can I help you find anything? And they'd be like, oh, God. Like, oh, you scared me. Just think about me like that. And I was like, I wasn't, but all right. Sorry. And like and again, frying people is fun. It don't get me wrong, scaring people is fun, but it's all in the festivities. You don't want to be a malicious person about it. Like Halloween pranks, some of them are simple, TP someone's house, like maybe smash a pumpkin or two, like little random delinquent stuff. Not too bad, not too bad. But then like even like horror movies will be like it was like a horror movie themed around Christmas. It was like Christmas Train or something. And I think it had David Copperfield in it. Oh, Midnight Train. I think that's what it was. Maybe. I can't remember. But anyways, at one point they were basically like, okay, yeah, this one nerdy kid is going to be a part of this like prank. And the prank was basically really messed up. It traumatized the kid for like years to the point where like when people are starting getting picked off, I'm just saying that like, well, good. Shit, I get mad at these motherfuckers too. Like that's some dark stuff y'all did to him. And again, even the like final girl, who ironically was played by like Jamie Lee Curtis, was sitting there like, I'm sorry this happened. It's like, why are you still friends with those people after what they did to me? Like that was awful. Like you, in my eyes, you're just as guilty with your complacency. You didn't stand up to them. You didn't say what they did was wrong. You still kept hanging out with them afterwards too. You didn't even apologize to me at the end of the day for what happened. Like I don't feel any sympathy for you. And I'm like, fair enough. And the only reason she survived was because she got lucky. And whew, trying to think now. There was talked about the urban legends, talked about the a few ghost stories here and there, talked about some costumes. Hmm. Talked about video games, movies, anime. Yeah, again, I can't really say too much. Like I know there's TV networks that are all horror, but TV shows specifically are kind of weird for me because I'm like I don't really know. It depends on what the shows are. Like if the shows are like 20, 30 minutes, it's like they can't always be scary. But you got your classics. You got your Are You Afraid of the Dark and the Midnight Society, and then you got stuff like I'm stupid. Are You Afraid of the Dark is the same thing as the other one. Okay, I'm an idiot. No, I'm thinking of Goosebumps. You got Goosebumps. Like horror is a very niche thing sometimes, but shows like that was like okay, that's fine, especially when you're younger too. Because again, you some people like getting scared, and I do sometimes. In like specifically, if I'm like, all right, as long as it's in good faith, I don't mind as much. If you're doing it to be an asshole, I'm like, no, that's not for me. Hmm. There are a few games I did want to trade though. Like I want to actually get into like Left 4 Dead, and I actually wanted to play Dead by Daylight at one point. The Friday the 13th game, the Leatherface game. I want to see if they're gonna do one for Nightmare on Elm Street. I think that'd be interesting. See how that would work. But again, it just feels like a time and a place to play those games. Like I want to play the Evil Dead game too, but I'm also just kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like something I would just typically jump into like that. But I get curious every now and again, so I might as well. Nothing wrong with it. Hmm. By the way, the reason I'm doing this right now specifically, and the fact that I'm just streaming it, is just because, well, for one, I'm chilling right now, and two, I got work later, so unfortunately, I won't be able to do this on Halloween. But still other things. Well, all right. I think I'm gonna call it here for now because there's a few other things I want to take care of later. All right.